Wow. Huh.
Unconfirmed.
Unconfirmed. Yeah.
Unconfirmed.
No.
What up?
Unconfirmed reports about Gaddafi being captured.
Oh, really?
Unconfirmed. Yeah. We've had too many. We've had a bunch of those before. We've had, have had him captured a couple of times.
The land of unconfirmed reports.
Yes, we came, we saw, he died.
Did it have anything to do with your visit?
No, I'm sure it did.
Tomorrow.
Wow. Huh.
Unconfirmed.
Unconfirmed. Yeah.
Unconfirmed.
No.
What up?
Unconfirmed reports about Gaddafi being captured.
Oh, really?
Unconfirmed. Yeah. We've had too many. We've had a bunch of those before. We've had,
Today, the government of Libya announced the death of Muammar Gaddafi. This marks the end of a long and painful chapter for the people of Libya, who now have the opportunity to determine their own destiny in a new and democratic Libya.
October 20th, 2011. From the White House Rose Garden, President Barack Obama stepped up to the mic. He declared the death of Muammar Gaddafi, a man he called a tyrant, a dictator, someone who ruled through fear and violence. Obama said, "The dark shadow of tyranny has been lifted." Libya, he promised, was finally free. But what came next? Chaos, civil war, two rival governments, a broken nation flooded with weapons, warlords and open slave markets. More than a decade later, Libya is worse off than ever. Millions displaced, infrastructure shattered, peace still a distant dream. Yes, Gaddafi was no hero, but his fall didn't bring freedom, it brought a vacuum. And while world leaders cheered his death, Libya was left to pick up the pieces alone.
Unconfirmed.
We were the ones that caused Gaddafi's death because Hillary Clinton played a game over there, and I was the one that went over there during the war. Gaddafi asked me to come over. I took a Biden staffer and a Bush staffer and a film crew leader from ABC One in New York, Larry Menti, with me, and a cameraman, because I didn't want the CIA to set me up. I hand-carried the letter back from Gaddafi offering to resign. The U.S. didn't want him to resign. They wanted to kill him.
Why?
Because Gaddafi, and I met him 3 times. I took Biden on my second trip to Libya, by the way. He went with me when I spoke to the whole country. At every meeting I had with Gaddafi, he wanted 2 things. He wanted to unite the African continent into a group of nations economically, like European like the European economy. He wanted to base it on the gold standard. And the U.S. and Europe didn't want that. And the other thing is they wanted control of his oil, and they wanted control of his sovereign wealth. So Gaddafi had to go. That's outrageous, and it's wrong.
Yeah, but that, I think, sounds right to me.
I mean, but we've allowed so many of our kids to be drawn into conflicts, to be killed. And these people doing this they've never served in any capacity in our country. They've never been in the military. They've never served on a fire ground. And it's outrageous that they think they can get away with this and sit back and make all this money. We were the ones
that we have no idea who they are. I didn't say Assad, but we certainly have not gained anything with Gaddafi. And you look at what happened. I mean, look at Libya. Look at Iraq. Iraq used to be no terrorists. He would kill the terrorists immediately. It was like, now it's the Harvard of terrorism. Iraq. If you look at Iraq from years ago, I'm not saying he was a nice guy. He was a horrible guy. But it was a lot better than it is right now. Right now, Iraq is a training ground for terrorists. Right now, Libya, nobody even knows Libya. Frankly, there is no Iraq and there is no Libya. It's all broken up. They have no control. Nobody knows what's going on.
So the world would be better off with Saddam Hussein
100%.
and Gaddafi in power?
100%. Now, as far as Assad is concerned.
What about the human rights abuses?
Let's talk. Well, you don't think they're happening now? They're worse now than they ever were. People are getting their heads chopped off. They're being drowned. Right now, they're far worse than they were ever under Saddam Hussein or Gaddafi. I mean, look what happened. Libya's a catastrophe. You look at our ambassador as an example, okay? Libya is a disaster. Iraq is a disaster. Syria is a disaster. The whole Middle East. And it all blew up around Hillary Clinton and around Barack Obama. It all blew up. Now, one thing about Assad, not a good guy. I understand that. But we're backing and spending billions and billions of dollars on backing rebels that we have no idea who they are. I didn't say
we're going to war with Iraq. I said, we're going to war with Iraq. Why? He said, I don't know. I said, well, did they find some information connecting Saddam to Al-Qaeda? He said, No, they just made the decision to go to war with Iraq. We don't know what to do about terrorists, but we got a good military and we can take down governments. I came back to see him a few weeks later. By that time, we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, are we still going to war with Iraq? And he said, oh, it's worse than that. He picked up a piece of paper and he said, this is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran. I said, is it classified? He said, yes, sir. I said, well, don't show it to me. And I saw him a year or so ago, and I said, you remember that? He said, sir, I didn't show you that memo. I didn't show it to you. We're going to war with Iraq.